Good morning and welcome to Beef and Barnzy. This week coming from Oregon and suburban Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I was about to say you're coming from the wildlife.
it it is not the worst view to wake up to in the morning here. Yeah, it's quite nice. Hanging up here with our friends Mark and Shar Anderson and my old roommate on tour, Brian Smith, and the gang, the Smith clan, up in Roseburg, Oregon. It really is beautiful country up here, especially because it's not winter. But it is a not so sweltering 58 degrees this morning, and I'm enjoying it a lot as Texas is a tad warmer than that.
Yep. Just let me. There we go. So, should we start with you at the U.S. Open, or?
Yeah, start with we had Longview doubles last week, and we missed Tuesday's show because I was bowling. I think so. Did you have a show without me? You could have.
No, I didn't bother in the end. I thought about it, and then I got back from bowling on Monday night about 1 a.m., 1:15.
Huh.
So I got up and took my son to his school. So I was like, no. Yeah, it was a Ryan says morning. Hopefully he hasn't. Oh yeah,
no.
he's not even at home. I can't even tease him about burning the house down. So
No, not his fault. It happens.
Yeah, so we were at Longview, and as per the usual, late night bowling, close matches, upsets galore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel I'm still a little salty about how our Sunday finished. Not because we got a bad break or because we were close, but because Kevin Williams, I think it would be fair to say, went career on us. He went strike, spare, 19 bagger, spare, 8 bagger. Then had a 9 miss in the 10th frame to finish for 8-15. Yeah. I bowled 750. If I'd have bowled 900, we'd have still lost by 100. When you bowl against Simonson and him being there is irrelevant, it's a problem.
Yeah. No, we've been knocked around by. I was bowling with AAJJ there last year, and we got knocked in losers bracket by them. And a common theme, as per, and I guess it went on. I don't know how. I really didn't see much of any of it because I was.
You didn't even know who'd won when I asked you about the guests.
I did not, and so I was a little late trying to get the winners on, and so that did not happen this morning, and that's on me. But,
well, not really. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Dalton. He's one of my teammates on a Tuesday night. Dalton has outfitted himself in the Beef and Barnzy gear, so we appreciate the support. It's kind of cool. He's got a couple of hoodies. He's got a hoodie, a pair of joggers, head to toe t-shirts. Got his Beef and Barnzy gear on. So thanks, Dalton.
We got some Oregon Duck Beef and Barnzy gear walking around here this morning too. Maybe we'll get a cameo. But the green and yellow Beef and Barnzy shirts walking around.
Yeah, they might be coming back to the website soon. I was discussing that this morning. Love Jones talking about my striking session on Tuesday. We'll get to that in a minute. So just to recap Longview quickly, Spencer Robage and his brother Blake Demore, or should I say Blake and his brother Spencer, being as Blake is now a 2-time Longview champion, took down the victory. They were the number 1 seeds, and they smashed Tyson Brannigan and Jeff Young in the final, to the point at which I was actually commenting in the chat over, are they seriously going to bowl the third game? Spencer had the front 10, game 2 of the final, for them to be up by 187, I think it was, after 2. And I'm like, are they seriously going to bowl another game?
Wait a minute. You said Tyson Brannigan made a final match?
He did.
I really didn't hear anything about it.
No, Tyson and Jeff made it all the way through to the final of the winners bracket. And this year in Longview, just to quickly just give you a rundown, it was 96 teams. It turned out not to be the best decision by the tournament director to move up to 96 teams because we actually only got 78 teams. So we only had 14 teams to cover the extra 32 spots. So there was a plethora of buys, which...
Although, to be fair, probably not entirely their fault with the weather in Louisiana. It did have an impact on things.
It did for sure, but they're going back to 64 for next year. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It caused way more hassle than it was really worth.
Yeah.
I think there was only 4 teams who ended up going lose-lose because it wasn't actually possible to go lose-lose because there was so many buys. So if you didn't get the buy in the first round, most people got it in the losers bracket first round. So there was like 4 teams that went lose-lose. So anyway, that ended up leading to, if you go with 96, the winners bracket gets down to 3 teams. So what they ended up doing was they ended up having a shootout round, so to speak. And the low team of those 3 went into the losers bracket. And the high 2 teams then went to the winners bracket final. And they played for the 1-2 seed. So Spencer and Blake played against Tyson and Jeff in the final of the winners bracket. And they got your favorite pair in Longview, Chris, 23 and 24. So that was almost pointless bowling because there was one lefty on one team and there wasn't a lefty on the other team. So basically, Tyson and Jeff had no chance.
Yeah.
Now, somebody said, Steven says, and Spencer took out the lane as well. Funny story about this. On Spencer's fill shot, he said, I decided to try a different ball and try and attack the half board, whatever that means, lefties. And, well, the ball fell off the lane right at the transition. And it flew up and smashed into the machine and hit something, which then fell down. Part of that was a light. The sweep then came down and swept it away into the pin deck. So it was like, whoop, bang, crash, sweep. So that took that pair out of play. Now, if he'd have tried that in the practice, that would have been the best thing that could possibly have happened to Tyson and Jeff, because I think they would have gone to a fresh pair and they would have actually had a pretty good chance. But a broken down 23 and 24 basically gave 0 chance whatsoever to
I've gone out on that pair at least 3 times. Yeah. Maybe 4. Yeah, I mean it's not, if it's all righties, I think, you know, it's a difficult pair. The 2 lanes just aren't close. But having a lefty on that pair is you're pissing up a rope. So
I was basically praying that we hit it.
Really well.
Like every round I wanted to hit it. And of course we hit it one round and we played a team that had a lefty, but I played against Tim Crow and I had a better idea of what to do because I've already played on it a couple of times. And he basically started with a double and then went, missed the head pin on the left lane, missed the head pin on the left lane, missed the head pin on the left lane, 3 frames running. And I'm like, yeah, that was a little tighter there, Chief.
About 5 to 7.
Well, for me, it's just I had to use my urethane ball on that lane because it wouldn't pick up the reactive ball at all.
Yeah.
I think it's just the weirdest pair.
Yeah, it's not that either lane is really hard. They're just really different. And so it makes it tougher to do the same thing. But that left lane is really, really tight down lane. It's a lot different than most of any other lane in there. So
yeah, he took out.
I'm sorry, the tournament was streamed and Steven's right. He that is a worst case scenario all the way around. All that stuff happening is like a 0.001 chance, and then to have it swept off into the pin deck means that Oh crap! Vacuuming and cleaning up forever.
And the good thing was, it was at a point when they didn't really need that pair anymore, and that match had finished. So if that had happened on Friday night, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah, I did have a mess.
Because they'd have had to try and fix the machine for the next day and everything else. So just a quick rundown of my matches. First round, we played two-handers from Houston, Villarena and Wynn, and we got the victory. They had a little bit of troubles, especially Villarena, with making single pins. So Simonelli struggled a little bit, but we got through that match. Then we played our second round match. We played against Jacob Cutler and his partner. We were 60 down going into the second game. We turned it on a little bit, the back 5 frames. We went from 20 down to 40 up inside 2 frames. So that was always a nice deal. We got through that one. Then the match that turned our whole tournament, we played against Danny Inocencio and Lee Lortz. Simonelli bowled 750, and I basically just gave the match away. I couldn't figure out anything on that pair. Danny bowled unbelievable. He got fairly fortunate as well as bowling unbelievable. And when you put that combination together, that's a little difficult to beat. So I got taken out. We got taken out into the losers bracket in that match. Then I don't really remember the win. I think we played Tim Crow on the 23 and 24. We won that one. Then I played one of my friends from Austin, Denton. We had another pair that was a treat, 21 and 22. 22, I was playing 15 to the lip with urethane. And on 21, I was playing like 10 to 5. The pair was pretty easy, but if you didn't have 10 minutes practice, that would be a bit more challenging. Then we played against Chris Luke, probably our best match, Chris Lucas and Ryan Boroff. We were down. It was a bit back and forth. We were down by 40, I think, going into the last game. I had the front 7 and Simonelli had 279 going into the 9th frame. So going into the 10th frame, sorry. So we managed to pull that one out with 513. And then we came back the next morning. We bowled against Kevin and Simo. Kevin had the world. Simonelli couldn't create the reaction that he was creating. And while Kevin was striking that much, Simonelli needed to find lightning in a bottle. He did not. So that's what happens. When the other team shoots 15-25 in Longview, it's kind of difficult to come out on top. So that was that. Let's just before we break down Monday, let's hear from our sponsor, Lightning Strikes. They have another tournament coming up, this time a $5,000 one. So here we go. So there we go. The Seed to Table Open, great grocery store down in the Fort Myers area. 25th of September, $5,000 on top. Dual pattern, Wolf and Scorpion. So, if you're in that area, that's definitely a tournament you should be looking to bowl. They've got all the side action, all the good stuff. And worst case scenario, you can get a nice quesadilla in the bowling center.
Food there is really good.
Yeah,
no doubt. And the production value of the commercials, top notch. Whoever their guy is,
he's doing good.
Like it.
So Monday for my bowling, I stayed over at your place on Sunday night, and I did laugh with Chris Lucas, and I asked him if him and Alan could coordinate their tournaments a little better for me, in that they should ask me where I'm going to be the night before. If I'm staying with Chris, then I need the Louisville tournament to be first, and then I can go to Fort Worth, and then I can go home. If I'm coming up, I need the Fort Worth tournament to be first and the Louisville tournament to be second. So I stayed at your place, and I had to drive 45 minutes down to Fort Worth, to drive 40 minutes back, to drive the 45 minutes past Fort Worth to go home. So that was a bit inconvenient. But anyway, I digress. So we bowled over at Watauga. I'd never bowled over there.
Alan just called. He said, feel free to bowl the ones in Austin if you want next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another funny story. I took Tina's balls to Longview with me, so that meant she couldn't bowl on Sunday on the tournament in Austin. So anyway, I was super popular with that one. Might have influenced my decision to keep bowling on Monday rather than go home to get the firing squad.
Real quick, they bowled Spencer and Blake Demore early. It did not go particularly well. They kept it close, actually. They were down 50, got it back to even, rallied back late and tried to make a late charge and weren't able to close it out. Could have changed the whole tournament, as lots of times those early matches do. And so it didn't go as well as they would like. Ryan says, thanks for helping me out, Stu. Helping a lot of tryouts, by the way. First day of tryouts back home, or back at Wichita for him. 8 patterns, 8 lanes. And he shot 850 for 4.
Awesome.
And went right to the lead of virtually every category. So I'd say you did some good work there.
Well, that's good. It wasn't necessarily anything physical game-wise. It was just a mentality about how to, close frames and move along. But anyway, so we go over to Watauga. They're playing on some sort of short pattern. That was some sort of short pattern on some boards and some sort of house shot on other boards on the same lane. So, live in a better location. I assume he's talking to Chris. Chris needs to be more convenient for me to get to Fort Worth and back.
Us poor folk just live where we can afford, and it's open the corner.
Stu is a diva. Yeah, well, I'm not denying it. So anyway, we bowl in Watauga, and basically, of the people who bowl all the tournaments in the area, like all the time, there was only me and Anthony Lavery who turned up. Sean Lavery went to Houston because he qualified for their big league, the Monday shootout thing. So he'd gone and bowled that. AJ was still bowling the finals of Longview, so he took the day off. I don't 100% know what happened to Dimitri, but he didn't bowl either event. So I went over to Anthony, and Anthony's not really a big bracket guy, which is kind of surprising, but he's not. And I said, hey, do you want to just chop brackets, chop the side action? And Anthony goes, sure. So this was the start of my day going really well, real well. So I bowl with Ryan, and pretty much. And me and Ryan, if we could have put our games together, and if I could have shot his spares, we'd have been pretty good. But that isn't how it went. So I got off to a smooth 180, 150 start. Shook myself off. I had 240, 230. Went to the 3 and 4 where Tony Franklin just shot 290. And Platinum Ford, one of our other sponsors, right over there, said if anybody shoots 300, we'll give them $500. So perfect. And Tony goes, Stu, you just got to strike the first frame. That's the hardest one. I'm so I start laughing with him. I'm like, okay. So I throw my first shot and I miss so far left, and the thing just lays like a rug. And strikes. I'm like, maybe he's right. Fast 8 the next shot. Fast forward to the end of the game, I shot 205, and I knew I was kind of screwed in the tournament. So either way, they
to be fair,
yeah. Either way, it worked out okay because Anthony won, so the side action worked out okay for us. Fast forward, we went up to Louisville for the Louisville sweeper. My man AJ was me and him were on a chop. Worked out pretty well for me again. AJ shot 244, 279, 279 the last 3 games. Won the last game. Johnny smashed up the brackets. I shot 257 the last game. Went from not cash into 4th. All round, the weekend turned round for Stu. And I have to say, thanks, Alan. Dimitri was sick apparently, so hopefully he is feeling okay again. Peter Potter says Zen Master on the way. He's going to go with a pretty strong 4.5 by 4 by 2.5 layup. Sounds good. Let us know how it goes on. We have new video up. It's another Beef v Barnzy. It is no, it's not. That'll be later on in the week. It is Stu v Stu. It's the X2 against the UFO Alert. So check that out. So now we get to the point. Alan says you're welcome. Thanks, buddy. So now we get to the point 21 minutes in of what everybody wanted to hear. How did it go getting your ass kicked by Tom Hess?
Well, it was basically a carry forward from the first 32 games where he did the same thing basically every game.
Yeah, Tom bowled unbelievable.
He really did. We bowled on terrain. Easily my least favorite sludge of all time. It was the same oil we bowled on in Jonesboro, by the way. The 100% guarantee of no urethane that became 98% urethane. It's the same kind of deal. Yeah, it's terrain forward, ice back. So it got through the front a little better, but it was like fake. It's an oil that's very confusing to my eye for sure, because it feels like your ball doesn't want to hook a lot down lane, but you can't play straight because it picks up so much in the front and slows down. So, but Tom from the get-go was really solid day one. Amleto bombed him day one. Day two, they got considerably flatter and harder, and most of the field slowed down. Tom did not, and that's where he started putting it away. And then the last day, he and Amleto they gapped the whole field really quickly and just took turns back and forth, taking over the lead. Hess was big, came up down the stretch, throwing a Zen and an X2 almost exclusively. He threw a few other balls back and forth because it's one of those centers. It's really not Longview tricky, but you have a lot of left lanes hook more, right lanes hook more. The pairs in front of the counter hook way more than the pairs on the end. It bounces back and forth, and so it gets a little tricky. I was basically kind of pacing, and my ball rep Mark Anderson was back there trying to get me back on track. I said this, I posted on Facebook, but I went to see Mark Baker last week, working on some physical keys, and it's better, but it's not quite what I wanted it to be for sure. And so after the second block, we went over to Nakashima's place at Pacific Bowl and had the biggest serving of hash browns in the history of man. And we had 3 of us. We ordered 2 meals, and we had ordered 1. We might still have leftovers. There's so much comes with these omelets. Great food. But worked on some things. He'd seen some things going along with what I'd been working on with Mark, and got a little better on match play day. But despite that, I was just hanging around. Probably a couple of pretty key matches. I bowled Georgia Bood fairly early, through the last 5 to beat him by 7. The next match I bowled Tony Walker down at the bottom, and he had the back 6 until he stuffed it in the to let me win by 3. And then I bowled Haugen, and he needed a mark in the 10th, and he 3-6-10 and shot it like I was shooting it, except he missed the one in front for me to win by 1. And for someone who basically doesn't believe in luck a whole lot, I was lucky. Smoke and mirrors was a real thing. I was I should have had zero chance going into that deal, and I'd caught in several key hits. I guess I was 10 over the first day after 6 games and shot 510 to be 120 over, and in 8th. And then I was minus 10 the next day after 6 games and shot 80 over the last 2 to be, or 90 over the last 2. And then that got me back to basically the same spot, 8th again. And then we bowled 12 games, and I was basically in 10th place and dead again. And I started using the synergy and moved in front of the ball return and went 250, 230, 210, 250. I used an IQ Nano the very last game against Haugen.
These you know what they're saying on the senior tour now? These youth who can't bowl on the fresh, just wait for the lane to come through.
They're not wrong. I got nothing. I can't say a thing about it. We'll see what happens next week when we don't bowl in that oil. I'd like to see if I could. But yeah.
So
I had to beat Haugen in the position round. We basically, whoever won, Hugh was 50 behind us. But George Abood, my friend Regina's always here on the show. His wife, George he bowls league. It became obvious on that last day we were bowling 16 games that he had not bowled that many games in a day in a while. Because early on basically during the week and then even in match play, I would have said, yeah. It was about 15 pins a game better on that side on the fresh. But it did not end up that way for sure. Hugh Miller bowled for the first time in 2 years, and he was on one leg by the end. They finished 7th and 8th, I believe. George had the best look of all of them. George was scary.
Regina says, I think she's saying, congrats, you beat my league bowling husband. So just one quick fun thought from the weekend. I wish you'd have been with me when I had this conversation. And I honestly can't remember who it was who said it, but it was one of the younger guys, right? So we've got the 180 Monster Tournament coming up, haven't we?
Yes.
And I'm bowling with Tom Baker's part of my team, right? And they said, I quote, well, I feel like that might not work out so good for you because having older guys like that on the team, they might not be able to, keep going for all of the games. I just about broke my neck swinging round to look at him. I go, you think Tom Baker can't bowl 12 games in a day? Are you insane? I go,
literally the senior tour,
more tournaments on the PBA than everybody except Schlegel.
Yeah.
I go, Tom will be fine. Trust me.
Yeah, to be fair, the senior tour every week bowls more games than the regular tour does.
Yeah, but I was just but regardless of that, you're talking about Tom Baker. He is the bowling Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's
still in good shape too.
Yeah. I mean, him and Walter Ray have probably bowled more games than everybody under the age of 25 combined. I would
Walter Ray, on the other hand, right now he's a little injured at the moment. It's going to take a little time, and he's not good at time off. But groin injuries and 60 years old are not the best match.
But like I say, that's a really unusual thing for Walter picking up this injury now. Apart from that injury, him bowling 16 games a day isn't really usually an issue for him.
No. He bowled years where he bowled 1,300 games in a season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I go, if you were on their schedule, it'd kill you guys.
Yeah. And for all the millennials that they're proud that they had no mismakeables, their whole 1,300 games without missing a single pin. 1,300 games.
So Alan Riley has a good point here. He said, maybe you're living right, or maybe your level of suck has just got to the point that luck is taking over. My man Alan Riley, he got through a couple of rounds at Longview.
Yeah, I saw that. He's real good. It's cool, man. He made spares for 1 week, and he was giving my wife spare advice on how I could be better at it. I see you. All right.
Oh, shit. That's it.
Yeah, so basically I had a 6-man step ladder. So I had to beat Haugen. I shot 250. I did have one bad shot that was very fortunate, turned into a strike there in the middle that made it less eventful. I tied for fourth. We had practice, then had a 1-ball roll off with Rolando Sebelin, who I've known from the Dominican since the mid 90s. He actually owns the bowling center where Lynn and I both won the American Zone Masters at down there. And so won the roll off. I let him finish on the lane that he picked to bowl the roll off on anyway. So maybe not that smart, but I was able to win that despite missing spare in the middle. 2-teen to 180. The lanes changed so fast on the fresh. Then I bowled Chris Warren. He didn't even take all his practice shots because his ball was sucking up to the pocket so easily. He strikes in the first. He strikes in the second. He throws it in the old school action move. The ball was just past the arrows when he turned around and started walking to the other lane. And I chuckled because I've seen them, not necessarily from him, but I'm like, Belmo does it now. There's only a couple of guys these days that do that kind of stuff. But normally, action guys, I chuckle like, that's kind of an intimidation move. And I went, it's kind of working. Yeah. He just flush. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be a high scoring one. And then we got to the 9th frame and he hadn't thrown another strike since then.
Yeah.
The right lane changed quite a bit. I got caught in the 9th and split. I think I 9-pinned the first one, trip 4 for a 9-pin, and then struck to make him. He needed 19, and he'd already 7-10 once on that lane. And Anderson's back there, and he goes, "I don't know if we could get another 7-10." I said, "I don't know. I mean, 7 would be good here." And his ball did the same thing mine did. It hooked immediately, and he left the 6-9-10, and I escaped 187 to 186. Had no business surviving that match. Amleto throws the front 5 the next match. And that's what Amleto did. His look.
I mean, he threw the front 5, but was it the 3rd frame that, because the angle was really bad, you couldn't see the pins on the right lane, but I knew that he didn't throw a very good shot on the right lane.
No, he crumbled the whole bucket thing. It was one of the. It's the one where you he gets that one where you're like, he's not going to make very many mistakes, and he got that one. You're like, we're in trouble here. The camera work by all accounts was miserable, I think is the word I'm looking for. That they showed multiple shots of only the player at the foul line and never showed the pins.
Well, no, the problem was that it wasn't that bad except on the right lane. They should have used the other camera to show the pins because you guys had got left, so you were blocking the pins. So that was a bit of an issue, but the that definitely so Emily was watching my mother-in-law. She kept telling me, she goes, "Man, my ex-idol is getting very lucky," and then she just started laughing. That's how you refer to in the house now, my ex-idol.
Right.
But she was cheering you on. And then I watched Hess through the first 4 or 5 shots, and I was like, this one's probably done. When Tom can keep the ball in front of him like that, and you've got to separate you to the break point and the laydown so much.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult. You just really needed to get off to a really good start and hope that the emotions got the better of Tom. Because otherwise he had such a great look.
Yeah, I mean, Amleto gave me a chance too because he 7-pinned and then he 7-pinned again and missed the second one, and all of a sudden the match kind of flipped around, and I had 250 left still and thought I was in control, and I threw the one the 9th, and I'm walking it out left, which means I didn't fall off of it like usual these days. So I would have lost a lot of money. Now, not necessarily that it didn't strike, but if you told me that shot didn't hit the pocket, let alone a 210. And so then again, it flipped all the way upside down. The 210 was easier to make than a single pin, so I made that, and then threw 3 in the 10th to shut him out. And then that was pretty much the end. I tried to move 5 and 3 left and get slower, which is what I did at the end. And I really just got there too fast.
it was okay in there. I threw some pretty good ones, but early on, but I threw a bad one and split, and then I pushed one through it, and the small misses were big misses when I moved in there. So it was a lot of fun while it lasted. I thought if I could put some heat on Tommy, it'd been a long time since he'd won, that I might be able to shake him up a little, but he was pretty unfazed by spare three bagger, and then once I gave him an opening, he just stepped on my throat. But he was really the only one, even maybe a little more than Leto, that can control the lane across the house. He can get it through the front and play the track pretty much on every pair. He was the class of the field. I think Leto, he was being a Hall of Fame bowler, but Tommy was able to create the best reaction.
Yeah, and he's been knocking on the door for several weeks.
Yeah, I think that was his fourth show, and I think Jackson, he went like 3-9, or it would have been his fifth show in a row.
Yeah.
So
been bowling good. Got the Masters coming up. Rookie and Player of the Year implications still kind of alive.
I guess they're very alive. I just found out the Senior Tour's Sean Rash, Brad Angelo, told me that the Rookie of the Year is by points only. There's no vote, no nothing. So now the fact that he hasn't won and Tom and I both have majors isn't relevant.
Okay.
So I think we're all within 700 points with the Masters coming up. The biggest, huge swing of all of them. So it'll be interesting, to say the least, how it comes down. Actually, Pete hasn't bowled. They haven't bowled fantastic, as good as he did the first 5 weeks, where he dominated everybody. And so I guess Player of the Year is probably in play too.
So I'm finding it difficult because I clicked on the PBA Tour for the stats, and the only stats they're showing is money and average.
For the PBA 50?
Yeah.
Click on the PBA 50, and then there's PBA 50 stats, and you should have all of it there.
That's what I did.
They changed it now since yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. My bad. I see. Right. It's pointless to bring it up because it's way too small. But I see. It goes. The point is on the left of the name, and then everything else is on the right of the name. So for an idea, Pete's on 25,000 points. Brad is 22.6. You're 21. You're basically 22, and Hess is basically 22. You and Hess are 10 points apart in 22,000.
Yeah, the only bad side for me is that I bowled 4 less tournaments, but that won't matter. It'll just be totals will be totals, and so the overlapping events for me are gonna get stuck there. Yeah, George, thanks. I appreciate it. I thought had you been bowling more of these tournaments, I think you'd have made that show pretty easily. Your hand getting beat up and kind of got in the way there a little bit, but he was throwing reality, and I was jealous.
Ryan's bringing the heat.
Yeah.
Right between the eyes.
I'm not sure which comment he's referring to there, but
he's talking about Player of the Year voting.
Oh yeah. Well, ironically, that was the only Player of the Year I won too, was when we had points. So,
well, the thing that's funny about Ryan saying that is he was going up against Angelo. It's a flip of the coin.
Yeah. All right. The Georgia Bood, the San Jose State connection, had a few of the old classmates out this week. Friends of Brian Fedro came out this week too, said hi. Lots of people said they wanted me to tell Linda hi, and they missed her. Ron Case said hi.
So we'll come to the board shortly.
All out.
Yeah.
Although
our boys bowling, they need doubles partners. Can't bowl with both. Just saying. Just saying.
Chuck says Chris couldn't keep that horseshoe up his butt the last game. It looks like Hess kicked it up further so he wasn't influenced by it.
Yeah. Not sure. Yeah. I'll take what I can get. I am lucky. So, you know.
So George says, yeah, I thought I had the luck too. I sure like the ball. Drilled it Friday on the wife's orders. Which ball, George?
The reality.
Oh, okay. Good choice.
Yeah,
when you can strike, you can strike with that one.
It was the deal. Yeah.
Dan Schmidt says hi to Linda. All right. Well, on the complete opposite spectrum of bowling the US Open, I finally got a honor score in Mel's on Tuesday night. I had.
You already had a perfect game in the ball versus ball challenge.
Yeah, but I don't get a plaque for that. I've had plenty. I probably throw 200-300s a week in practice.
I'm pretty sure you don't get a plaque for this one either.
Oh no, I do. That's the whole thing at Mel's. They have the Wall of Fame or whatever, and once you finally get it, you get a plaque with your face on it, and then they add to it, like they put on your honor scores when you get them. The fun part is I've lived here been bowling league now for this is my second. We bowled a full season. I bowled a few tournaments. I've had several 299s, but I haven't shot 300. So finally, Tuesday night, there's one guy in the league, and you'll love this, Chris. Scott Stafford, he's been bowling great. So last week he shot 785 on Tuesday, and he bowled 835 on Thursday. And he's been using this dart code, right? So I say to Tina, we're taking the dart code tonight. We're bowling against Scott Stafford, right? So we're in practice, and I said to Scott, had to bring the dart code. Has to be the ball. Can't be you bowling well. Ha, 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 right? And Scott says to me, he goes, oh, don't let Ralph, who's the chef at the bowling center, and the chef at the bowling center has actually done Food Network shows with Robert Irvine, the Restaurant Impossible guy. So anyway, whatever. So Ralph hears me and says, what am I not supposed to hear? And I said, oh, I was telling Scott that it's the ball, not him. And he goes, funny you should say that, because he bowls both nights with Scott. And this is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. He says, Scott bowls 785, and then he bowls a 260 or whatever to start the next week on Thursday. So game 2, we stopped high-fiving and we walked up to the ball return and started high-fiving the ball.
Nice.
So that became the fun of the night. So I start off with the front 4. Tina starts off with the front 4, and Scott starts off with the front 4, all using the dart code. So I stone 8, which if I'd have struck out the last game in the 9th and 10th for another 300 would have been fairly devastating to have 879 with the old stone 8. But so anyway, here's game 2, 10th frame. We've got me and Nathan. Nathan's on the front 11 here. Oh, God, Nathan shot 300 to set it up. We definitely weren't splitting the app here.
One anyway. Oh God!
Stop. So we had a bit of fun with that. Chris has left me. We started talking about league ball, and Chris said, "I'm out."
Hashtag all out.
Yeah. No, Nathan was using a forged flare. Jason, I shot 847. I had the front 8 and then I flat 10'd. And then I threw it like an asshole in the 10 frame and left the 3-pin. So I went 9 spare, 9 spare. Yeah, Chris says we talk about professional bowling here, not league bowling. Even though, I love league. My friends always laugh at me. They from England. They always say that I might be the only professional bowler who genuinely loves bowling league. I think it's great. The thing that most professionals hate about bowling league is the thing that I love the most about it. I love the fact that anybody in the bowling center can beat you. I think it's fun. Like the people who are like, "Well, league's stupid because I can lose to this guy." How shallow is your ego? I'm like, I don't care if some guy beats me. I don't think he's better than me because he beat me.
It's the same thing. I want them easy for me.
Yeah.
And that's it. So
Alan says that's because Chris loves league bowling. I would know. He especially loves it when he bowls with or against you, Alan.
yeah, I mean, bowling with Alan is like, he is my kryptonite. There's no doubt. It's unbelievable how a guy.
We had a T-shirt giveaway for a Josie Barnes T-shirt. Daniel King was the lucky recipient. I will be reaching out to you to get your deets on size and whatever. But thanks for the shares. We appreciate it. Alan says he's hashtag kryptonite. Stu did not shoot this with the RST. No, I had to follow the trend and use the dark code. Fun story. Scott Stafford, who I was bowling against, I had the front 8. He had the front 9 the last game. So,
I did use your X1 in the stepladder. Kudos to the Storm HQ guys. Tried some different drilling stuff, and it looked pretty good. There was a question up here too: Zen Master versus reality, and we've done a little bit of this, I believe, in our videos. In general, I think the reality is a little earlier. They both continue really well. The Zen Master, I threw the Zen Master a lot this last week, and as it gets more games on, it gets lane shined, and then it clears the lane really well. So Stu shined his. I hit mine at one of them and took it down and got a little smoother. But if you just bowl with it, it will get lane shine, and it gets down the lane really well. I'm not going to say it's that middle of the bag ball for me. And the more I use it, the more I'm liking it. So, but yeah, it's definitely a ball under. So the reality would be
is it's a grower, not a shower.
It's a grower, not a shower. Yeah. So it's, yeah. I don't know. I thought I'd ever say that, but anyway.
Tom
reality for a little heavier oils and master after that.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like the reality is a more dynamic version of the Zen Master. Like for me, they're both really strong.
Yeah.
The reality just hooks more because of the bigger cover, the bigger core inside.
Yeah, it's got a little bigger on both sides, I think. Yeah. Tom, you were on vacation. If I'd have known you were going to come on anyway, we would just had you come on. Like, you're with your wife.
How excited are we for the Weber Cup? We're very excited.
We are.
We finally got, I believe, have we got all of the teams announced yet? We've definitely got all of the American team announced. I don't know whether we've made the announcement for the 5th player on the European team, but we'll be definitely doing previews next week. But yeah, should be good.
Yeah. So our team is Kyle Troop, Chris Vi, qualified on points. Anthony Simonson was a pick, and Tom Doherty was a pick. And Tom was literally a couple of strikes away from making it on points, and so that's the way we went. And Alan Riley can never, never afraid from the cheap seats. Thank God there's a winner in here. How are you doing, Tom? Great bowling, fellas, all the way around, but especially Tom.
I don't know, Alan. I felt like a winner when I left. When I left.
Okay, I'm backing off of Tom. I'm really sorry, Tom. I just I assumed 8 a.m. in Vegas with your wife that this wouldn't make your list, but it was wife approved. They're eating breakfast and watching Beef and Barnzy. Well, the day can only go up from here for you. Congratulations. So.
Alex says, always trust you to make things not suitable for work. Okay.
One tech question real quick, polish versus lane shine. I'll let you take your take.
Well, polish is easier to achieve, quicker, for one. For two, I think that for me, the problem with lane shine is I feel like it's more inconsistent because you don't know exactly how much lane shine. Whereas if you just add polish to it, you've still got the scratches underneath. So I feel like for me, the lane shine is slower off the spot because the ball is kind of like is smoothed out more, I think. So like for me, I feel like higher rev rate guys, I think that the lane shine is better. For lower rev rate people, I think polish is better. That's just my take on it because I think that the polish clears it through the front, but I think it's a little more angular off the spot.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's probably the best. That's the best description. And where I want it is a medium kind of benchmark ball. Letting it lane shine up makes sense, but it does get harder to recreate as it gets too shiny. There was a couple of comments up here. Yes, Team USA is 10 fingers and 1 thumb, and I'm the only thumb. So, in a particular like this, yes, I believe that we got it more right than Bowler's Journal by a lot.
Charlie Schapp says, touche, did you mean douche? Ryan.
And here we go. From the two-handed side. Look, he doesn't. So, and that's just it. And that kind of goes for any ball. Some of them come out a little dusty, and so they get a little early. And so it's better off to just either take it down or just put polish over the top of it and get it where you want it to fit right off the bat. So, but yeah.
Justin quickly says, Chris, the Zen Master you like is pinned down, ?
The pin is actually in the ring. I have 2 of them. I have one that's pinned down with surface on it, kind of the old school, what I kind of like to do on the fresh when there's a lot of oil in the lane, which I think is going to be at the Masters. And so I can play a little straighter. This one's a pin in the ring, which is a fairly strong pin, but by putting it in the ring, you lower the differential, how much it flares. And so that's been really good. And then I have the stock drilling over my middle finger, which is
no,
I don't. I used to. I mean, that's an old school trick for sure.
I do that with when I'm adding surface with Scotch-Brite. Like either go with the track or when I'm doing my urethane and I'm praying for it to hook across the track. Please hook, please hook, please hook.
It actually theoretically makes a lot of sense with reactive balls to sand with your initial rings if you're looking to get more down lane hook, because as the track flares, those lines will go from with your track to across it in theory and still doing the whole ball. But whether it makes that much difference, I'm not sure.
Cody says, just curious how the players decided for the Weber Cup.
2 make it on points, 2 are picked, and
one's a captain.
I'm a captain. I'm here to keep the teams even.
If any of you are out there questioning what happens, why Chris gets picked as the captain, just go back a couple of years when he wasn't the captain. Team looked okay.
Yeah, Europe won 5 in a row, and so I was there for one of them, and then the next 4 they got blitzed, and so
We
I think
want Tommy
actually,
back
buddies,
as the captain.
you guys actually probably went to bat for me a little bit. And,
We need Tommy back. Can we get Tommy back as the captain? That was a bloodbath that year. Attaboy, Teej.
here we go. Learn to use the curb.
Oh dear. Oh, why not? While we're on it, league shirts coming up. Quick ship jerseys still available. Starting at $39.99. I like this one. This red and black one pretty much goes with everything. If you use Beef Stew 10 for 10% off, I'd appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. So yeah, they go out pretty much the same day. We have in our league you have to have shirts, so we're still in the figuring out stage of getting which exactly which combination we want, but I think we're gonna have some form of Beef and Barnzy shirts.
Going on, cover stock strengths between brands. This is difficult because we don't know per se. S74 to R2S. Relatively close.
Let me have a look. Problem for me is what's S74?
S74 is on. What was it on?
Oh, it's below the Zen.
Yeah, that's pre-Zen.
70 is the. I don't even know anything that has S74.
S70 is going to be closer to that. That's R2S is stronger than S70. 70 was on the Badgers and those kind of things. 74 was on the Truths.
Yeah, there's no ball right now in the line that has S74 on it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's no S74. Those are all balls that were made in San Antonio, and so I really don't know for sure.
I mean, I don't know, but the logic would suggest that the high-end balls are probably somewhat comparable to the high-end balls, and as you move down. So if I was guessing, looking at it, I would think that the reality cover is somewhat comparable to NEX, and the next cover down will be somewhat comparable across. So, like, I would think that the S70, in my mind, looking at it, would be somewhat comparable to R2S, and also that would be somewhat comparable to, just so I don't say the name wrong, what's it called? E-Tracks on the Rotogrip side. That would be what I would think. Now, we don't know, and us guessing might cause more issues than it's not, and I'll probably get a nicely worded email from Alex along the lines of, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop spreading shit.
Yeah.
But that would be my guess. I don't think that they're all exactly the same. I think they all have some form of tweak. But overall, that would be where I would put it.
It's a nice comment by Rick, but it has lots of irony because I learned a lot of that clearing up the pictures thing by talking with him and combining our two much different viewpoints into one that makes a little bit more sense. So,
is Chris the oldest player in Weber Cup history?
I think he already has that record. This last thing. Yeah, I am by a year older than last year.
But Tom Doherty is definitely the oldest debutant.
Oh, yeah, that was what we said. Is he the oldest rookie to ever play? Well, yeah, maybe. So,
yeah, I think REX is different.
Stu, what's your league team name? At an hour in, we're not going to get into doing all the cover stocks right now, so we'll have to circle back around to that. What's your league team name?
Longhorns and Green Cards. because it's me, Tina, Nathan, Maria, and Dalton. And of course, Nathan and Tina are both born and raised Austinites, I guess. So they're 100% Longhorns above all else. And of course, me and Maria are on Team Green Card. So.
Last thing, Alan Wright. Serious question, Stu. Now I have a spare ball. You guys are right, and yes, that was hard for me to say. Yes, but you should be used to it by now. Should I look at putting a normal slug in or keep it switchable?
For me, I think you should have a normal one in it, because the amount I'll be mean, but the amount you use your spare ball, Alan, it's fucking annoying when people have to wait for their ball to come back to shoot a spare. And B, realistically, the tabs, whichever one you use, they're plastic. So the more times you screw them in or clip them in or whatever, they wear down. So by taking it in and out of your spare ball all the time, it wears down. Also, when you throw, most people throw more up the back of it, so the thumb gets closer to the pins. That's going to be a deal. So that's why I never use an interchangeable for my thumb, but I don't really use more than one thumb hole. So
I actually have one in there now. Normally I do not. I don't mind if it feels slightly different because your release for your spare ball is not the same as your strike ball anyway. So it's not you find one that feels good and you get it right, and then it just stays. It stays in that one. The only reason I have one now is because I'm going back and forth between tours, and I don't have a plethora of thumbs since I switched sizes recently. So once I get more, then they'll go back to being permanent ones in my spare ball.
How did Doherty get on Team USA? What? Lol. Yeah, exactly. By being third in points, that's usually a pretty good way.
Yeah, and he missed 2 majors. Like, he would have led points most likely fairly easily had he bowled them all. So he had the better season.
Jeff, you don't use a spare ball, throw it straight like Norm Duke. Just don't use one. Yeah, I tell you what. How about this? Why don't I just bowl two-handed like Belmo while I'm throwing one-handed like Duke?
Yeah.
It's about as easy.
Everyone could do it. There's a reason why they are who they are. Walter uses a black diamond. Best spare shooter of all time. He can throw it pretty straight. It basically hits all the holes every time down the lane, and he uses one. Am I better than him? Probably not.
Joe says he uses a switchable in his spare, but he never really switches it out. It's just mainly his emergency thumb. That's not a bad option.
Yeah, but this goes with it too, and this is absolutely right on what you were just saying. Interchangeables tend to crack out much faster in spare balls. I believe that's probably. I mean, it makes for a much bigger thumb hole, which again puts the edges of the holes closer to your track, and so. Norm did withdraw this week. He had a ball fall out of his bag onto his toe. He tried to bowl the first day. He visibly or audibly yelled as strong, but grunted like 4 lanes over when he threw a shot, enough that I went, what was that? And, it wasn't a reaction to any leaves. It was actually as he was throwing it, and he did not bowl it. So he said he thought 3 or 4 days and he'd be okay.
Was it his right toe or his left toe?
I actually don't know. If his left toe, he could bowl. If his right toe, he may not be bowling this week. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Interrupting your holiday, Chris.
Well, it's 8 a.m. out here, so we're on vacation time too. So I'm going to go inside, have some breakfast, and spend more time looking at that.
Tough times for Mark Anderson. So next time when you can't get a discount at the Storm booth, just remind Mark you've seen where he lives.
This is why there's no discounts. The debt ratio has gone up significantly. I wouldn't expect it to help your chances of getting a discount. Hey guys, thanks a lot for joining us. We should be back here. I guess I'll look at the schedule on Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be tough because I believe I'm on A Squad Tuesday.
We'll figure something out.
But either an afternoon show or we'll just pick up later on in the week.
Well, I'm in Disney as well. So,
it looks like Beef and Barnzy may take a week off next week. And
yeah, maybe.
So the happiest, most expensive place on earth. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's okay. AJ's paying for a bit of it.
Yeah. Disney takes no days off either. So check out beefandbarnzy.com to buy t-shirts and jerseys. And like I said, feel free to use our code. And until next time, if you get a choice, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm, Rotogrip, 9R Global, Vice, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Bowler's Mark, Mark Baker Bowling, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later.